And I've got friends like over my shoulders like, oh my God, are you looking at this chick? Oh my God, she's so hot. Oh my God, this, that. I'm like, are you idiots even watching her play? How do you perform in front of a room that's 20 to 25% of what you played in front of the night before? And his words were, we play whether there's 10 people or 10,000 because we want to give you the same show every time.
So I was at that show too. I'm a big concert poster collector. I bought it, and then I got home and I opened it up, and Reno was not on it, but they were selling it there, and I didn't notice that it wasn't on there. I'm not looking for it.
That was like a nail in the coffin moment kind of for us.
Okay. I'm like,
Didn't get that.
I said she wouldn't buy a ticket to a show unless it's a floor ticket.
How has radio evolved since then, and where is it now?
The guy's hauling ass down Virginia Street, like blowing the horn, yelling out the window like Ace Ventura, I got the next radio star in my car. And I'm just like, I'm going to die. Cheers.
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 Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Let me tell you about what we got going on here. First off, how are you familiar with the area down there? Just have you been down there a lot? Do you?
Reno, Nevada, I'm absolutely familiar. Just moved here last week. Been everywhere from Chancery Way to Gardnerville. So yes,
You should check out the Reno Aces games then when you have a chance.
Yeah,
familiar.
if you have a chance.
Are they a hockey team?
No, but we got one of those too.
Wow. Tell me more.
No, but Southern California. Seems like you're pretty familiar with the areas.
Very much. Well, for the most part, yes. Born in Hollywood at Hollywood and Presbyterian, which is now a Kaiser. I think Kaiser's still
Mission
a thing.
Hills.
Okay. And grew up in Eagle Rock till I was 6. Then basically Dad in the process was like, hey, let's move the whole family to Reno, Nevada. Mom at the time was like, all right, well, whatever. Don't know really a whole lot about Reno, but if you say that's the way to go. And his career at the time, he was a letter carrier and basically left the office in Van Nuys, California, and moved us to Reno. He got a job at the Sparks Post Office, which is still on the corner of 4th and Prater in Sparks, and worked there for a number of years. Passed away in the summer of 98, roughly 4 days before his 57th birthday, I believe.
Pretty young.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's young.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I'm 57 now.
Wow.
Never would have guessed. You know, it's very rare. It's very rare that I have the inferior beard in the room.
Oh. I would say
it's an experience.
I would say that it's not inferior. It's quite kept. So well done.
That.
Thank you.
It's the inferior beard.
I'm almost, my dad was 50. Oh my gosh. He might have been 57 a couple months before his 58th birthday. Yeah. And I'm almost the age that my dad was when he had me too. So that's always what gets me like thinking like, oh, whoa.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, you know, when you have friends who have parents who have passed at whatever age, you know, you start to it's looking back like 10 years ago, little over 10 years ago, when, you know, Bowie and Lemmy and Prince and all these people started getting picked off, and you see their ages, and they were anywhere within like a year or two. That pendulum swings that between of the age that they passed. You're like, oh God. But then again, it depends on the person's lifestyle. Like I'm not the Keith Richards lifestyle. I'm not the Lemmy lifestyle. I live my life the way I do. Like even the last time I was at the doctor, all right, what do I need to know? I said, well, let me see. I drink. He goes, how many drinks do you have a week? I'm like, let's talk about that later. But you know, it's because sometimes I could have, you know, a beer for the whole week. Sometimes I'll have a beer in an hour. Sometimes I'll have, you know, 5 beers a night.
Right.
Sometimes I'll go a week or two without a drop. My body doesn't, like, it's literally not affected. My mother gets a little paranoid at times. Like, honey, you need the program. You need the program. Like, I don't. She's like, you would do so well in the program. I'm like, Ma, I'm good. Listen. And then this is like where I continue to dig my own grave. And I look at her, like talking to her on the phone. So it's where, you know, like chit-chatting, and she's just like, oh, honey, blah, blah, blah. And here I am just like, Ma, it's okay. Like, look, I have enough. So I'm looking around the living room. I'm like, I have enough liquor in my place right now to kill a third world country, and I probably have enough beer in the fridge that could probably hurt some people too. And suddenly, like, as I'm just like, verbal diarrhea, saying all this stuff, that's when she comes into play. And she's like, oh, honey, you definitely need the prep. Like, Mom, I'm fine. Don't even sweat me. Like, we're good. I promise you. I'm not like, there's no cirrhosis happening anytime soon. We're fine. Life is good. All right.
You're already with the AAA program over at the Aces.
Oh, absolutely. Man, my insurance is great.
Yeah?
What are you talking about? This is going to go like this for a while, so I hope you guys are ready. I'm like a pinball machine. Whatever you throw at me, I mean, it's funny because sometimes people, they're just like, you're so quick with things. I'm like, okay, first off, I've been doing radio for 39 years, about 39 years. Mm-hmm. It's that spur of the moment, like, you have to say something to see if you can catch people off guard. Is it going to be funny? Mm-hmm. For instance, I was DJing a wedding over the weekend, and I was, right as I'm headed to the water cooler with the old water bottle, and I'm headed to the water cooler with the water bottle, and there was a woman whose glass of wine was right by the cooler. And so I was going to go around her, and she saw me go, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I said, no, that's okay. Now, what I wanted to say to her was Jesus just here?
Perfect.
And so I'd like, not sure if she's going to like get the old joke grenade, but I didn't want to offend her because, the DJ at the wedding isn't necessarily meant to be the class clown. However, how you doing?
Oh, that's great. We'll want to dig into your radio experience.
Yeah, whatever you need.
So just a quick rundown with Reno Live. After we got connected doing the Bird Scooters, Brian's the music listener of the duo.
Okay.
And, he travels all over going to shows and coming from a larger music market, kind of missing everybody coming into town if you want to see them, right? And so
and sometimes all at once, like literally. Yeah. And
you
here's
can spend a lot of money.
This is the worst part about the whole LA experience, and on that, Brian, is, and it's not just LA. It could be Miami, Detroit, Dallas, Chicago, New York, Denver, Seattle, Portland. If there's a band, there are, say, randomly 4 bands you love. Okay, so say for instance, if you're a fan of Weezer, Deftones, Raconteurs, and Offspring, and man, I can't wait to see all these tours, and blah blah blah, and all of a sudden, it just happens that they all intersect on one night. Now you literally have to pick your favorite kid, and you don't have a choice. And even if like a drive from one building to another is 30 minutes in LA, that's maybe
2
4
hours.
blocks. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 hours is like, that could be from in Reno to Carson sense, that could be 2 hours.
Yeah.
So now you're running the risk of, oh man, I really want to see this Deftones show, or God, I love, Bad Company or whatever. Like, you got to narrow down those priorities. And that's when you live in a certain area and you're so used to shows and blah, blah, blah. But I don't want to go to Anaheim for a show. It's like, well, you just missed them last night. They're playing in Anaheim tonight. House of Blues, pretty awesome place. What do you say? Want to go see Poison the Well? Okay. And then you make the drive.
Yeah. Well, my goal for Joel and I for Reno Live is to bring that much here in Reno where I have to choose, and I'm actually kind of upset that I have to let something behind because that sounds like a good problem to have.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the goal, where we wanted to make some sort of impact on the music scene here, where Reno becomes a more attractive place for people to tour, and also the local talent are more motivated and challenged to grow.
And okay, so on that note, and this is where I was a bad guy for a while, and I'll still wear that crown, not necessarily with pride, but more so to motivate it. And when you say to push the locals, really, that's like, if a local band goes up on stage and, like, say for instance, okay, let me give you an experience going back to 2015. There was a local band who was playing at a room called Knitting Factory at one time, and fun room, and the band, good kids, but they needed to practice more. To me, they appeared on stage as if they'd only been playing for about 6 months tops. I don't know how many live performances they had done leading up to that, but as I was watching the show, and it's just like, Okay. Like there's still plenty to learn. But one of the things that like the singer was doing had the microphone almost cupped. So, when a singer does this, my first question is, are you talking to people like this? Because if you don't talk to people like this, then why do you sing like that?
Right.
If you can sing, project, get after it, do the thing. But he was also, as he was cupping the mic while he was during the song, like if the song was like, like was doing this in the mic. And
It's a lack of experience.
Oh
for
my
sure.
God. And all I could think is the sound man must be like, you are gonna blow my whole sound system tonight. And I just felt bad for him. Fast forward through the end of the night, and I'm leaving, and I'm like, I'm minding my own business, whatever. Then all of a sudden, like the Matrix, two people just all of a sudden they're on my side. They're like, hey, what'd you think about such and such band? I was like, yeah, they looked like they were having a good time. Yeah, but what'd you think? Like they literally, like good kids, they were having fun. Yeah, what'd you think of the set? All right. So now I literally like have been kind.
Dodged once, weaved over here.
Yeah.
And
Right.
They're still at you.
Like Neo's like bend over, like how many more bullets? And I finally said, I mean, if I can be honest with you, I said, they need another 6 months rehearsal. But that's really it. And next thing you know, the male of the two is male, female. I at that point started to do the math. Oh, mom and dad. As I started to walk away, the guy shouts, he goes, yeah, that's a lot coming from a has-been. I was like, okay. All right, guy. And I was fine until he said that part. And I was like, oh, man, I didn't want to go back. So I did. And I went back and I just said, listen, buddy, you asked me, I was being honest. And as things were spiraling out of control at that point, from out of nowhere, security from Knitting Factory just like jumps in the fray of everything. One of the guys just looks at me and goes, leave now. I'm like, I've been trying to. Sure enough, as I'm on my way home, I get a text from the promoter. Hey, are you okay? I said, I'm fine. Like they were out of line, whatever. So, and this is in the old days of still not being able to hone it in on my part. And I should have just let it go and just let water slide off the duck's back. Instead, I got home, still was reliving everything, took to the old social media, Achilles heel number 1, never do that. And immediately left this band a scathing review. Like, look, your parents came after me. This is what happened. Your dad called me a has-been. I didn't do anything, etc., blah, blah, blah. Your mom lunged at me, all the things, blah, blah, blah. I didn't do anything, and that's that. So then about 10 o'clock in the morning the next day, I get a Facebook message. Hey, would you mind taking down that review about my son's band? I go, I'm happy to. I said, in fact, you know what? I have a live broadcast coming up at 11 o'clock. If you want to meet me there and apologize for your behavior, I will take everything down. And I will even go on and say, you know what? They tried really hard. Please go see their next show. I will do everything in my power possible to encourage people to come see your son's band. That's all I'm asking. I said, here's the time broadcast happens. Well, it was 11 to 1, and he never showed up before. And I gave until the live broadcast for him to show up. 1 o'clock happens. He never showed up. So I shot him one more message when I got done. And I said, hey, just so you know, I just got done with the broadcast. I'm actually headed to the mall, which is weird because like the mall used to be a staple for me. And so to say I'm going to the mall is very boomer of me. And so when I got to the mall, I was like, I'm going to be at such and such area for a little while, like in this window. Still gave him a window and nothing. Okay. And so I was like, all right, well, if you don't want to make your move, then I'm going to make mine. And I went inside of a t-shirt shop that prints things on shirts. And I walked in, the guy was like, how are you? I said, I'm great. What about you? He goes, good. What can I help you with today? And I looked up at the wall. I'm looking at all the shirts. I go, ooh, that white body, navy blue sleeve raglan. Do you have 2 of those? An extra large? He goes, yeah, we have a ton of them. He goes, what do you want on the shirt? And I said, I said, where are your fonts? And he goes, oh, all the font books are right here. They're like, it was like 10 feet tall of fonts. I'm like, just find something similar. And I just kind of opened a third of the way in, page. Ooh, that one looks good. Because it looked like somebody had swiped their hand through the letters.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of neat, you know? And I said, is there any way possible you can do has been on the chest of the shirt? And he was like, yeah, we can do that. I said, please, I need 2 of them. Just in case. He goes, great. Give me 20 minutes. I said, I'll be back in 25. Take your time. And that was it. So I went into the mall. I think I went over to the food court, had a snack, came back 25 minutes later. The guy rang me up, $30. Here's your money. Here's a $10 tip, something. And out the door I went. And the next show that happened in the Knitting Factory, I wore that shirt.
Hey, I thought you were going to pull a Superman move and reveal it.
Well, not today. I do still have it at home. And I did do that Superman pose in a photograph at that show that I wore it at.
Nice.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And then even the guy, I reached out to the guy again later, and I said, look, I know your son's band is playing here again in a month. You know, if you want to hash it out, I'll even do it right here in the club. No problem. I'll shake your hand. Let's iron it out. And all of a sudden I show up and like the singer comes up. He goes, hey, blah, blah, blah. My dad's here. I go, great. Where is he? And he goes, oh, he was just here a moment ago. And Dad went out the door and left me high and dry. So as far as I know,
the has-been now.
Yeah, there it is.
So Mom and Pops moved you guys up to Reno. Mm-hmm. How old are you then?
I was 6.
6? Okay. So what was your first introduction to live music in Reno?
My very first concert was July 1981, Centennial Coliseum, which is now known as the Reno Sparks Convention Center. A friend of mine in the neighborhood had an extra ticket for a show that apparently his friend couldn't go. So he goes, hey, I got this extra ticket. Do you want to go? I was like, oh, I'd love to, but I don't know if I can go. Let's go ask my dad. Mom's not at home. Okay, we go to my place. He was like, hey, Mr. Payne, I want to take Chris to go see this concert. Is it okay if we go? And I'll bring him back. Everything will be safe. He goes, yeah, sure. You boys have a good time. Come on back, when you're done. I was like, okay. And we go up and we see the show and everything was amazing. I get home. Apparently Mom was waiting for me. When I get home, she's just like, where have you been? Why did you go to the show? Why did you talk to your dad? Why didn't you talk to me? I'm like, you were teaching dance class. Don't talk back to me. I'm like, all right. But she was teaching dance classes that night. They got into it because he said, go have fun. She was paranoid that I was going to do drugs. To this day, let me see. At that time, I was 11. And it wasn't until 7 years later did I smoke pot for the first time when I was 18. And even then I was like, was my mom here?
Yeah.
But the show was the Fabulous Thunderbirds opening for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Oof, that was 1981.
Centennial Coliseum.
Yeah. See, so this was a big motivator for us to start Reno Live. So if you look at old tours and sets that came through town, like Tom Petty.
Mm-hmm.
In the 90s, you had, Van Halen and Black Sabbath. And at the peak of rock and stuff.
Okay, so let's, if you want to talk about that, then real quick, as I adjust the old nose ring, because I could feel like, hey, I'm starting to come out. No, you're not. Pushing you back. So there was going to be a show. It was going to be December 1983 at the Centennial Coliseum once again. Quiet Riot, who were experiencing great success with their major label debut, Metal Health, and the title track itself, Metal Health, Bang Your Head, with also the cover of Come On Feel the Noise. They had been tapped. They opened for ZZ Top in the summer of 83, and then they were coming back 6 months later to open for Black Sabbath with, at the time, Ian Gillan of Deep Purple on the one and only Black Sabbath record ever recorded by that whole quartet. And it was Born Again. And the bus for Black Sabbath got stuck up at the pass, up at Boreal, or like Blue Canyon or whatever. And when it got stuck, it couldn't make it over. Show was canceled. And that tour never happened again.
That's such a heartbreaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wasn't even alive, and that's such a heartbreaking story for me.
No, I mean, because we started to talk about this and looking at what it seemed like Reno had for a time, And this is also, not too far after COVID when we were discussing these things. And so that obviously also had an impact on live music everywhere, I'm sure. But here, so we're just like, how can we get that back? Do we want that back? What would that look like? And what's lacking here? How can we affect it? And so our first thought and how we started out was just compiling a calendar of live music all in one place where people can go, because there's live music happening every day, but people don't know about it.
Well, some days, yes and no. Even on what are, I guess, the slow or industry days or whatever, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday don't necessarily lend themselves to having live music. And then when they do, when we're blessed with something awesome on that day, case in point, 2 shows in 3 days, and I'm citing 2 recent incidents. On a Sunday, Black Veil Brides from Ashes to New and this band TX2 as December Falls. That's a new band out of the UK. Fantastic. On a Sunday, should have been a packed house, and the room was about, give or take, 2/3 full. Okay, not terrible, but good on Reno for showing up on a Sunday. Now, on a Tuesday, when you have a band like Architects who only do massive cities, big cities, Seattle, LA, and so on, and only really play massive festivals, suddenly Reno, Nevada shows up on the radar. And I knew about the show almost 6 months before it happened. So I was super excited. And knowing full well how much the music community here is in the area for certain bands, I'm like, this is going to be a no-brainer. This show's going to be sold out. And I walk in, and I look in the room. I was like, ooh, this is a little anemic. And then I waited about halfway through Architect's set, looked back. I was like, hasn't really filled in all that much. Man, this is disappointing. I hope they, as in the band, know that those who are here really appreciate them being here. Those who missed out, please know that it's probably going to be a Foo Fighters situation where last time and only time, no, I stand corrected, but the only time Foo Fighters ever played here in Reno was the day before the Super Bowl in 2008 at the Reno Event Center, holds about 7,000 people, and still the room was only about 2/3 to 3/4 full. Yeah, it's literally heavy sigh. You have to just go with the flow.
Sure. Well, but this is illustrating the point because cut two anecdotes.
Okay.
When we were discussing all this stuff, and mostly it was because we were out in the truck picking up bird scooters. So we're out in the middle of downtown and seeing everything happening. And we were in the truck together. We're driving past the Reno Event Center. And you know how they block off it, or they close off 5th Street for the buses and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? It's there's something happening at the Reno Event Center. I'm just curious what that is, and there's everything happening, and neither of us knew, and both of us are music people. And it was, what was it that time?
It was Limp
Bizkit.
Oh, May of 91. May 21.
Yeah. We're how do we not know that Limp Bizkit was playing?
And it was Limp Bizkit and 4 acts that you didn't know.
Sure. But
it was Limp Bizkit.
Same thing. And then I would have loved to see Eric Johnson played at Cargo. I would have loved to go see Eric Johnson. I didn't find out about it until 2 weeks after the fact. And then you saw
are we talking about the Greta Van Fleet?
Yeah, Greta Van Fleet. Yeah.
So that Greta show.
Were you there?
Side note, yes. And going into that show, completely what's the word? Not skeptical. What's a word? What's a synonym for skeptical?
Weary, tentative.
In that same vein, kind of brushing them off. Anyway, that's where I was with the band, and I was like, this isn't going to happen. And when the show was announced, I was like, they're going to be lucky if they sell 3,000 tickets in that room. Thinking Foo Fighters, this band has done all these tours, has done these festivals, opened for Metallica at Allegiant Stadium, so many things, and they're playing Reno. I'm like, you're not going to sell
with 2 weeks notice, right?
Give or take,
maybe 3,
about 6 tops, I think. But still, there was no way it was going to happen, and that was my whole thing. There's no way this is going to happen, and around that time was the exact time that I wind up becoming the program director for Rock 104.5, KDOT 104.5 here in Reno. And so I'm invited to the show. Sure, I'll go. And I got a like dry erase board in my head, like everything. All of my cynicism, I think that was kind of the word that I was looking for. But I have to not go into the show with a chip on my shoulder. I have to go with a clean palette, a clean slate, and accept what I see. And I did just that. And it worked out because they played 11 songs over the course of 2 hours and 20 minutes. And about 3 songs in, I was standing at front of house and I'm looking around the room. And as I'm looking around the room, I'm seeing people dancing, singing along with all the songs. And they were having a great time. In my mind, at that point, I'm like, okay, so I'm absolutely missing out, but maybe this is not the band. I'm not the person, correction. I'm not the person that this band is trying to target. And I accept that. And not only do I accept it, I encourage it. And now I want to embrace what they did. Show was over. I was like, wow, I'm a fan now. New single. It's called Play Your Games. Starts out really good, but a couple people have already said to me, like, man, this is awesome. This is like old Greta. I'm like, they're only 3 albums in. How is this old? But, you know, to like whatever. And now I need to go back and listen to the first 2 records and understand more of this mindset. Because to me, the song, it's very polarizing. It is good, but then when he hits the hook, I guess, of the song, and I'm not going to do the impression by any stretch, but when he plays, he sings a part, Play Your Games, and he's hitting this like weird, not necessarily vibrato, but something with his voice. I'm like, it's very Nails chalkboard to me, but others might be like, oh my God, this is so good, like Jake Kiska, like everybody's freaking out. So I think that's what I'm missing. And, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So I was at that show too. And I think I've told you before, I'm a big concert poster collector. So like that's...
Did they have them there?
Yes, they did. I bought it because it was... who was the opener for that show?
Oh, man.
Something Brothers.
Oh, no, Rival Sons.
Oh, yes.
Incredible band
They
out of the
were really
UK.
good.
And they were, I think, on their at that time, I think they were on their 6th or 7th album. Let that sink in. The first time I heard Rival Sons was 2012. Okay? And like, I'm like, this band is the second coming of what should have been like a combination Blue Murder, White Snake, and Deep Purple, like all together.
Yeah, I know. I'm more familiar with Rival
Oh
Sons
my God,
than
Than Greta Van Fleet.
Rival Sons, and they were announced. I'm like, I'll just go to, and this is like before I was doing really anything radio. And I'm like, I'll go just to see Rival Sons.
Yeah.
Because they had played down the street at, I guess it was Virginia Street Brew House or something at the time, or Rock Show or Rock Bar or something.
Okay.
But they had played there. And I was so upset because I was also committed to something else the night that they were playing, and I couldn't see that show. And I'm like,
So then when you saw him with Greta Van Fleet, you're like,
yep. Oh man. Anyway,
so I bought. So I went to the poster in between the 2 shows, so Rival Sons, and then Greta. I bought it and then instantly just rolled it up. And I love when places give you the tubes.
tube.
Oh my gosh, that
Lifesaver.
yes, absolutely. And then I got home and I opened it up, and Reno. They were printed before Reno's date was even like announced, so it's not on it. But they were selling it there because obviously, why not? You're still trying to make merch, and I didn't notice that it wasn't on there. I'm not looking for it.
That was like a nail in the coffin moment, kind of for us, where
it's like this is exactly because we had just been talking about just all the things that have led up to Reno Live a lot at that point in time, and that was just like the last 2 weeks we were talking.
It encapsulated everything that we wanted to change within Reno. Whereas like we got the band,
right,
and Reno's not even on there. We were talking. Oh, I meant to bring this up earlier, and I can't even remember what we were talking about. But we saw Jeff Beck's final show.
Oh my God. When Johnny Depp came out on stage.
Yeah, were you there?
I was not, but I have friends who were, and they were just, all they did was rave.
So we bought tickets. Oh, actually, you bought yours on StubHub later, but
Yeah, but like I would have been so mad had I not known about that show or knew he was coming to town, right? And I'm so thankful that we were able to go. And so like, again,
that was his very last show.
Yeah.
From our perspective, a huge thing that Reno needed at the time, and it still does, and we're trying to do our part, is just put shows in front of, like, get eyeballs on shows so that seats get filled. Now there's a whole other set of variables that goes along with that, but just addressing a problem that we've had with just learning about shows to begin with that are coming to town, you know, that we would have gone to. That was like step number one for Reno Live.
So here's another fun concert memory for you guys. That one I was not at, but listen to KOZZ when the show happened, as it was leading up to it, and the day after. Rod Stewart was kicking off his tour here in 1980, summer of 86, if I remember right. Lawler Event Center, the place where Eddie Money's "Take Me Home Tonight" video was filmed.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, fun fact, side note, should I say, when Nevada men's basketball wins, that song is to be played.
Nice.
When we lose, because I'm the MC for the team too, when we lose, do not play that song. And there have been a couple of times over the course of the last 3 years where, like, we've lost and it gets played, and I'm looking up at the speakers like, hello? We did not win tonight. Why is this playing? But it was the summer of 86, if I remember right, or summer of 85, one of the two. Rod Stewart was kicking off his tour in Reno. And after the show, Jeff Beck was playing guitar with him. And it was such a big deal that they were playing together. Well, as fate would have it, there was such a kerfuffle between the two after the show. Jeff Beck, I'm off the tour. This is the only stop I guess I'm playing, because
It was the one and only one that he did with
Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart on
F
that
you,
tour.
F you, Rod Stewart, you find somebody else. I'm out of here.
Wow.
So that, as far as I know, is the first time that Jeff ever played here. And then in
GSR.
2025, right? Or was it 23?
Yeah.
Almost 40 years later,
Grand Theater.
his last show. Yeah. So anytime anybody brings up the Jeff Beck show, immediately I'm like, oh God, I wish I was there. Yeah, I don't care how unfamiliar I am. I know he's a legend. You have to see legends. Eric Johnson, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Again, and especially in a room like Cargo.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Right.
I was so mad.
So it's that kind of experience that you always want to see. And when you do finally get to see, you're like, I can't believe this is happening in here.
Yeah. Oh, I would have been so upset if I didn't go to that show.
And my dad was a guitarist and, grew up in Southern California in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, man.
And so Jeff
So
Beck
many
cassette
players.
tapes and all those guys.
Oh,
are
yeah.
Just ingrained.
I'm sure you're very familiar with who Steve from Fresh Bacon is.
Oh, yeah, Steve. Steve Emmerich.
Yes, yes. We had him on last season, and we were really excited to dive deep with someone who had been here for a long time, who's very immersed into the music scene here. And a lot of our questions for him, I think, were really big, broad questions that didn't have one specific answer.
Sure.
But one that I want to ask you is, like, how many shows, just ballpark, have you been at Lawler? Like over 50?
I would say at least 50.
At least 50.
At least. I mean, the first show there was 1993. It was Stray Cats, or 1983, sorry. Stray Cats and Roman Holiday. And yes, the building now, with this being 2026, makes Lawler 43 years old, almost as old as me. And
You mean much older than you?
Oh man, the seats are still the same. The food, like, I love Lawler, but
I love Lawler
let's
too.
just upgrade things.
I
Come
know.
on, please.
I know.
If Key Arena in Seattle can become Climate Pledge,
Yes.
and become a whole new thing on the inside, let's go.
In a new place.
I do love
Digressing.
Lawler, and
Yes.
but yeah, and I don't know. There's probably been maybe less than 5 shows booked there since Joel's lived in Reno.
So the last show that I know of that was booked there was October 2015. Eva Under Fire.
oh, so 0 shows. That's Joel's.
Yeah.
lived
Goose
here.
egg.
Was it Eva Under Fire? Think about that for a hot second. No, not Eva Under Fire. I forget the opener, but a female singer. And then it was, In This Moment. It was somebody in this moment, Papa Roach, and Five Finger Death Punch. And that was the last show that happened inside of Lawler that I can think of. And again, October 2015. And like a couple days within like that pendulum swinging, Motley Crue and Alice Cooper played at Reno Event Center. Alice Cooper completely upstaged Motley Crue. No surprise. And one of the highlights, at least for me, during that show, I'd like, because I'm front row, and I'm just watching Nita Strauss, Alice Cooper's guitar player, just shred. And
yes,
she is so good, and I'm just like, oh my God, look at you, like you're playing, and I've got friends like over my shoulders, like they're like the devils on the shoulders, just like, oh my God, are you looking at this chick? Oh my God, she's so hot. Oh my God, this and I'm like, are you idiots even watching her play? Just look at her play. And they're like, what? Idiots. She's so good. But yeah, so Lawler, again, first show, Stray Cats on Roman Holiday was fall of 83. Second show would have been Willie Nelson. Later then would be Billy Idol, Van Halen. Oh man, so many shows happened there. Kiss happened there. That was January 30th, 1986. Riot, a band out of New York, and Vandenberg, Adrian Vandenberg would then later go on to play in Whitesnake. Only he would be a fill-in guitar player for the tour, the self-titled 1987 Whitesnake tour, but played the guitar solo in the cover, the Whitesnake cover, oddly enough, of the song Here I Go Again. Now, 5 years prior, they released an album called Saints and Sinners, which is an incredible album. Probably one of the most underrated hard rock / bluesy type albums ever made. 1982 was when it was released, and 2 songs on that record wound up making it onto the self-titled album in 87, Crying in the Rain and Here I Go Again. So there you go. There's a little, like pinball.
No, this is awesome.
I mean, like
I love this.
I'll give you the rundown of all the shows that
I know.
at
There's
least
times,
that I have at Lawler.
There's times I'm leaving trivia, and there's just some nights I'm just like, I want to go home. And then Chris is already like in a conversation, usually with like Martin at the bar, and they were talking like Foo Fighters and Pantera, and then it gets going, and I'm just like, all right, I'm not leaving. I'm staying. I gotta hear what Chris is. It's like I really want to leave, but like now I really want to stay.
And to Brian's credit, like I could honestly like you, I can sense that about you. Like I know you want to leave, and I don't want to hang you up because either you need sleep, you have to write new questions for whatever, you have another job, you have to think like you have a life outside of like the Thursday trivia, you going into the weekend, you might have whatever's happening on a Friday, like, bro, I got to get up like 5 a.m. Like I know, I totally understand. I do not mean to hang you up.
No, and you,
Brian, I would wager that Brian would much prefer to stay up late listening to concert stories than getting up and going to work.
Yeah. Okay, so fun story about that show, December 14th, 1990. It was cold outside. It was kind of rainy, snowy.
Is this when they played at Pioneer?
This when they played at the Quake.
Okay.
Fantasy Girls.
That's what Fantasy Girls, that's the Quake's building.
The Quake turned into Fantasy Girls.
Okay.
Yes, 1095 East 4th Street.
Oh.
Literally, that's the address.
That used to be a pretty big...
Oh, that was the place. That was
like the place, right?
One of the places.
Not that I know where that place is.
But it can be.
It's right down
like,
the street.
Yeah, but I mean, it is like it's a place where a lot of local bands would showcase and going back to the local scene.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is part of where I get my. Some local bands need to work harder on their promoting. They're this, they're that. Like especially in this digital day and age that we live, where everything is like. It's so readily available, and the Achilles heel to that is if you create an event on whatever social media and you send it out to people and they're like, oh yeah, I'll probably go. It's like you have to show up almost on their doorstep and give them a look like, bro, where are you?
Was Reno always just like a last minute like night of we'll go to the show?
Yes,
always been like that.
Sadly, yes, unless it's Garth Brooks, Tool, or Metallica. Unless it's Garth Brooks, Tool, or Metallica, yes, yeah, and that's a detriment to our city because, again, having worked at Knitting Factory and listening to the GM, the 2 different GMs I worked under over there, share with me like, hey, look, when we're posting things on social media, please try to advise people, hey, buy things in advance, because
Yeah.
it sends a message, like it sends a 5-part message. Like you buy things in advance, everything's great. That then sends a message to the promoter. The promoter then shares it with the booking agent. Booking agent then shares it with the band. The band then shares it with their other friends who are looking to come to Reno for a show. Hey, Reno's turning up. So all of a sudden those bands are now telling their friends, and their friends are like, I want to get with this booking agent. Booking agent's like, who's a promoter? And it literally goes up and down that chain. Knitting Factory had that reputation for about 20 seconds. And I mean that is meant like as a figure of speech. It lasted all of about, give or take, 2.5, 3 years. At that point, a lot of people started getting lazy. I'll just get tickets at the door. Then when you go to buy tickets at the door, ooh, it's sold out. What do you mean it's sold out? Well, you've had 3 months to buy tickets.
Yeah.
What was more important at the time? That latte, the pair of furry boots? Like, what did you need more than the concert ticket that you're looking to buy right now? Don't lecture me. I'm like, not lecturing, just asking if anything, a rhetorical question. So that's where, yes, it has become... And that's why a lot of bands don't necessarily like to book Reno, because Reno is very, I'll just get tickets at the door. Also, another thing, when they bitch, piss, and moan, oh man, why is it an additional $10? Well, it wasn't an additional $10
early bird
yesterday or 2 days ago. And I think, for whatever reason, everybody has their things. Okay, if you're strapped, fine. But even then, you still have that window when you can buy in advance. Excuse me. And now there's a friend of mine that I know. She won't even go to a show unless she can get a floor ticket for a show. Okay. I'm like,
I didn't get that.
I said she wouldn't buy a ticket to a show unless it's a floor ticket.
That's going in the intro. Real quick, I want to go back to Lawler really quick.
Yeah.
Why are no more shows booked there?
I think because between Grand Sierra, Reno Event Center, Cargo, Silver Legacy, Atlantis.
Atlantis doesn't book.
They don't. And when they do, they're very sporadic. Mm-hmm. The last actual show I saw there was 2021. Cheap Trick played there.
Where do they even put those on? Do they put up?
Do you know where Bistro Napa is upstairs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Across the way from there. Yeah. It's odd because it's like a giant convention room. Peppermill had Stone Temple Pilots 2014, I think. Oh. Yeah. So very weird, but yes.
It is really weird.
When a casino, and God bless them for doing it, but when they take a chance and book a band because of whatever, and now that J Resort has entered the fold with who's a Jam Pro Music Factory, and that's who the JM
presents
JMF,
JMF
Jam
presents,
Pro Music Factory, JMF presents, yeah.
Actually, that's kind of an interesting topic because they've been putting on their festivals the last 2 summers, or last summer and this summer.
That one last September didn't necessarily do so well. Over the course of 2 nights with a couple of pretty good rock bands, Puddle of Mud and Blackstone Cherry, should have drew at least, give or take, and I'm being very lenient with this number, at least 750 to 1,000 people a night. I think collectively over the course of 2 nights, I think... And do not quote me on this, even though I'm saying it on video and audio. I think there was about 300 people there in total.
Yeah, we went out. We were out front of the Drifters, their country music
JMF?
festival. That was and that was in May. It was finals weekend that they put it on, which I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
but that
didn't
Brighter
help.
Days thing has no problem drawing because they bring
right?
massive names.
Yeah.
And that Brighter Days thing last year that was like Too Short, E40, and some reggae, Slightly Stupid, I think. And it'll sell out. Boom. No question about it.
I've reached out to them a few times to see if we could get into, because we've been doing a little bit more backstage and like show stuff, and again, just trying to create some energy around things, and again, put it in front of more eyeballs. Mm-hmm. Never heard back. And so I'm curious. I'm just kind of, I don't really know. I wasn't really expecting them to come back this year with all those same festivals that they put on last year, to be honest with you.
And now, well, okay, so there's a festival, and I say that to me, at least in jest, and a few friends in text conversations, we've all had the kind of like this is a one-day show with 4 bands. Like a festival is multiple bands over the course of multiple days, even 2 days, still multiple, not singular. But when you have 4 bands, and by the way, of the 4, because the headliner is Phanogram, who are incredible in concert.
Oh, I saw them open for Muse. I just realized
Yes,
that.
so did I.
Yeah, so
Did you really?
Yeah, so I'm in Phoenix. Open for Muse.
on their
Staples Center.
drones tour.
Yes.
They opened for Muse.
Yeah. And then Gym Class Heroes, who I wonder if Travis McCoy is still in that. There's a group on there called The Paradox. So are you familiar with them? When you have a moment, look up The Paradox.
Okay.
It's like it's pop punk that's going to catch you off guard because there's nothing really punk about it. It's just great pop music. But The Paradox is absolutely a band that should be a whole lot bigger than they're even like not becoming.
Yeah.
Yet.
Cool.
And then there's some other band that I can't think of off the top of it. But there's, again, 4 acts on one show on one day.
Really?
That's not a festival. Festival. Multiple bands,
Yeah,
multiple
'Cause,
days.
Like the Drifters one was 2 days.
Still
last
festival.
year and this year.
That qualifies
I didn't-
too,
So
yeah.
was this the which festival?
Right.
Is this one that Phantogram is
Oh, man.
Is it brighter?
Or is this a different
No,
one?
this different one. It's in July, but
Yeah.
But it's at the
Yeah.
J Resort
J
Festival.
Resort,
grounds.
yeah. And JMF is behind it, and God bless him for it.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing.
I was really
Of course.
surprised
Yeah.
when I saw
I'm happy.
Phanogram on it. Because actually, speaking back to when you were talking about like looking out and, only third full, the last time I saw Phanogram. Well, oh, no, not the last time I saw Phanogram, but because I've seen them 5 times now. But the last time they were in Reno, I saw them at the GSR.
Oh, I
And
missed that show.
the entire
Upper.
upper deck was empty. It was so
That's
it was
criminal.
like, are you kidding me? This band is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go on to some and I think we were the first of the tour.
Weren't they Outside Lands after that? Or
No, so this was like their own headlining tour. And then because I follow them on social media, the next place they were somewhere like in Salt Lake, definitely Utah, in some amphitheater, and the whole place is just packed. And I'm like, oh man, this makes our show just look even that much more like pathetic.
So on the heels of that, 25 years ago, when I went to go work in Sacramento at 98 Rock, the Cult, Monster Magnet, and Stabbing Westward had just played here. And the next night, they were playing at the Sacramento Memorial, which holds...
the Cult as in Blue Oyster.
No, as in like the cult. Yeah. And they like outdoor at the Reno Hilton Amphitheater, which is now Grand Sierra, where a mass part of the parking lot was an amphitheater. And they had played there and it was sold out. Okay. It was like, 4,000, whatever, 3,500 still. It was sold out. And same lineup, same everything. It was great. And then they come to Sacramento. And I was told, oh man, we had a sold out show. And then all of a sudden I ask, whoever, like, hey, how many tickets are out for tonight? They're like, oh, there's maybe 1,000. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So then I asked Ian Asbury, I said, look, if I can ask you this, like, how do you, without sounding odd, how do you perform in front of a room that's anywhere from 20 to 25% of what you played in front of the night before? And his words were, and I quote, "We play in front of the crowd, whether there's 10 people or 10,000, because we want to give you the same show every time." I was like, from there, I went into my own head and wiped that dry erase board clean and remembered that, and have since carried that over to at the baseball stadium, as you alluded to earlier, with the Reno Aces. Yes, we were joking about whole AAA and insurance, but sometimes, some nights, there are those stadium seats that are barren. I don't let it faze me. I don't care if we have 1,000 people in a 13,000 seat stadium. I want to do the same thing as if there was 13,000 people there. And that's what I do.
I wish I was doing trivia for that many people, but I have like the kind of the same feeling where there's just some nights where everyone's vibe is just down. And then I'm just like, oh man. And obviously, being an MC, you have to carry the energy.
You only there's only so much blood out of a turnip that you can get.
Yeah.
And if the room doesn't want to respond, that's not on you. That's on them.
Right.
You've already given everything you can and have. Mm-hmm. You know, last week I was doing a trivia teammate and I. We were playing at a bar in Midtown, and it started out with 7 teams, and soon became 4 teams. And I'm thinking like, okay, so the kid hosting right now, not exactly like the most engaging.
He's not Brian.
Also not within their realm of people that they have on their trivia staff, but still give him a fair shake. That's fine. But yeah, he was like, oh man, you guys are going to have a pretty good chance of winning tonight. What do you mean? He goes, yeah, well, we just went from 7 teams now down to 4. You're one of 4. I'm like, wow. Oh gosh. Okay. But I mean, and here's the fun fact. We finished 4th.
Yeah. I wanted to hear, because I know you do so many different things. You know, emceeing for a lot of the local teams and then hosting radio. Mm-hmm. And
So it almost 39 years?
Yes.
DJ?
Yeah. So the first radio job, because I wanted, when I was a kid, I wanted to be one of 3 people. I wanted to be either a professional soccer player, in the band Kiss, or on the radio, which is true. I mean, 8 years old. Yes.
how many of those have come true?
I teased soccer all the way up until high school was over. Tried to pursue something outside of that. Kiss. I tried playing. In fact, I tried playing the guitar 3 different times. Now I own a bass. It's just so much easier. And then from there, radio. Like I used to have when I was a kid. I used to have like the single cassette deck that I would go up to. Like when I get my allowance, I'd ride my bike up to Kmart and would buy like a 3-pack of cassettes. And I had like an AM/FM radio, and I would place that like enough over like the microphone part of the cassette deck, and I would record songs off the radio. And when I knew the end of the song was coming up, and I would pick it up, I was like, that was Triumph, and you're listening to blah blah blah, as I would hear like the next song switch, and I would just like slowly put it back over there, and I'd play the tapes for my friends. I'm like, oh man, we should listen to the radio. And I'd do that. They're like, that's you. I'm like, that's not me.
Amazing.
So, you know, and then out of high school, the school I went to used to be across the street from what was KOZZ's location at Sutro and McCarran. So I went to Hug High School at the time, graduated from Hug, 86, go Hawks. And when I got I pulled in the parking lot to get my diploma from the business office or whatever, dropped that diploma in the car, front seat, and then I walked across the street to the radio station. Walk into the lobby, and the receptionist, hi, how can I help you? I said, yes, I'm here to find out what it takes to do the amateur hour. She goes, well, we have people mail in postcards, and then, you know, we just choose one randomly. You know, have you done that? I said, yeah, I've been doing that for the last couple of years. She goes, oh, why haven't we chosen you? I'm like, I don't know. I have a feeling you're throwing them away because they're all Motley Crue postcards. And she was trying not to laugh, and she goes, hang on just a moment. She picks up the phone. Bloop, 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 bloop. Steve, do you have a minute? Could you come up to the front? Okay, thank you. Be right with you. And then the program director, little did I know at the time, he comes out, he goes, hey, I'm Steve Funk. And I was like all starstruck at the time. I was like, you're Steve Funk? He goes, yeah. I go, I've been listening to you, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. He goes, how can I help you? And I said, I've been trying to send in, I've been sending you guys postcards for the amateur hour, but they're all Motley Crue postcards, and I think you guys are throwing them away. And he starts cracking up. He goes, come back to my office. Let's take a look at the calendar. 3 weeks later, on the air. It was great.
That's awesome.
And so I was so pumped when I got off the air Sunday at midnight that my only method of transportation at the time was a Metallica Zorlac skateboard. And I say that intentionally because I was so proud of that skateboard. And like I spent all my hard-earned money. It was $85 for a setup at the time with the Indy trucks and the wheels. It was a heavy-ass board, but I didn't care. And I was stoked, and I rode that thing all the way home from the top of Sutro in North McCarran to Riverside and Booth. And that's where I lived at the time. And I was just pumped. I'm like, yes, let's go. So I was hoping to get on again. And then later on in the fall of 87, they did, KOZZ had a new morning show. His name was Brian Elder. And there was a competition being run in the newspaper, what was just the Reno Gazette at the time, because it was something else journal, but there was a morning and an evening edition. And the Gazette ran a vote for your favorite morning show host. Well, someone in the promotions department at the radio station up there at the time took it to the next level. And they said, let's have Brian Elder win, but the only way to get him to win is you have to turn in handwritten ballots, no photocopies, handwritten ballots of the newspaper. And the person who turns in the most like top 5 people, they go through the max volume crash course of broadcasting. And I hear this promo on the air, and all I hear is like, I'm going to do this. And so as I'm working at a shoe store and going to TMCC at the time and telling one of my coworkers about this, all of a sudden one time he goes, hey, why aren't you going to like the newspaper and waiting out in back? So when they take the previous day's papers and put them into a dumpster, you just dumpster dive and you pull the sections out that have the ballots. I was like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm absolutely doing this. I don't care if I sleep 3 hours a night. I'm doing this. And I wound up turning in about 4,400 ballots. I was the second highest.
Second
Highest. I think the highest one is like 9,000.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so the Gazette was like, they posted a story like 3 or 4 days after they started this contest. They're like, so like in the story, they're like, so some of our newspaper machines are being robbed. Please don't do that, because someone would just walk up to the thing and like drop a quarter, pull all the papers out. And for a quarter, you're getting, and at the time that cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because those newspapers were not cheap. Now they're whatever. And yeah, literally like whatever. It sucks, but it's true. It's also future. And so then I wind up turning all this in. I get to do another amateur. That was 87. I got to do another amateur hour in 88. And then when that happened, they were like, you've done a lot with us. Let's let somebody else have a shot. And I was like, you guys don't get it. Like, I want to do this. And okay, whatever. And then 89 rolls around. I call a top 40 radio station at the time. I said, hey, can I request Tone Loc? He goes, yeah, what do you want to hear? I said, can you play Funky Gold Medina? And he goes, yeah, sure. We'll play that. Hey, you have a pretty good voice. I was like, thanks. You ever thought about doing radio? I go, ever since I was 8 years old. He goes, you want to come on down and fill out an application? I said, I'll see you in 15 minutes. Click. And I literally dropped everything I was doing at home, walked out the door, got in the car, drove out to Sparks and Prater, where a standalone building had 2 radio stations at the time, I think 3 tops. 101.7, which was X102, and AM 780, which was KOH. So yeah, there's only 2 stations there at the time. And I am filling out my application. Here comes a guy. He goes, hey, are you Chris Payne? Are you Carrie Edwards? Like, again, all starstruck. I'm like, wow, all these radio people. Like, this is really awesome. And he had like this supermodel hair. He literally looked like a living version of the Ken doll as he walks around the corner. And I'm like, oh, again, like, wow. And he goes, yeah, why don't you come on back? Let me give you a tour. And gives me the tour of the building. And he goes, so when are you available? I go, today. How about now? And he goes, well, we don't have an opening right now, but are you available next weekend? I said, yeah. And he goes, great. That's when you'll start. Come on in this weekend. We'll have you train, and then you'll start next weekend. And that rolled for a while until a buddy of mine there who worked there overheard a conversation that basically said, hey, why don't you put Chris Payne on the radio? You said he has a pretty good voice. And the person who said that, who was the guy that hired me, said, and I quote, I didn't hire him for his voice. I hired him because we need somebody to push buttons in the building. And my buddy Tim, who overheard that, left the building and went to a payphone, calls me at home and says, hey, you might want to think about trying to get out of here because there's no chance for you to get on the air here. I was like, oh, well, that's a bummer. And I didn't let it dampen my passion. I'm just, okay, I'll let it inspire me. So I would talk to Max Volume, who worked at KRZQ at the time. It was what was referred to as an AOR radio station, album-oriented rock. And he was like, just make me an air check. I was like, I don't know what an air check is. He goes, you know those tapes that I gave you when you did the thing at KOZZ? I said, yeah. And he goes, that's an air check. Pretend like you're on the radio. I was like, oh. So I would go and give him these tapes. Well, finally, it's a Thursday night, around 12:45, going into Friday morning. The roommate I had at the time was struggling to pay his end of the rent. And I'm like, I had it up to here. And also found out that he was dealing drugs out of our apartment. I'm like, I'm not going to get thrown out on his account. Not at all. I was talking to my girlfriend at the time on the phone, call waiting, gets that weird beep at the time. And I'm like, hang on a second. I got to pick this up. And if it's for Mike, I'm telling that person to off. Click over. Hello? can I speak to Chris Payne, please? Yeah, this is him. He goes, hey, it's Daniel Cook at KRCQ. I go, hey, what's up? He goes, not much. I need somebody to work. And I go, wait, this is the Sarge from 96 Rock. And he goes, yeah. And he kind of laughed. He goes, can you do it or not? I go, I can. But I'm going to have to take the bus. He goes, how long is that going to take? And I said, about 40 minutes. He goes, I'll just go to the net. And I cut him off there. I flat out said, the bus, I'll take a cab. I'll be there in 10 minutes. He goes, that's what I needed to hear. See you in the morning. Click. At this point, I'm looking at my phone. Click over. Tell my girlfriend, I go, turn on 96 Rock. She goes, why? I go, just please do it. I got to go. Trust me, I got to go. Hung the phone up because you got to wait 5 seconds at that point. So then you get a fresh dial tone. Let go of the thing. Call 333-3333. And Reno Sparks' cab was at my house. 2 minutes flat. The guy's hauling ass down Virginia Street, like blowing the horn, yelling out the window like Ace Ventura, I got the next radio star in my car. And I'm just like, I'm going to die. On my way to the radio station, pulls up to the station at 4600 Kitsky Lane behind Olive Garden. And all of a sudden, like, I'm fumbling for money. He goes, forget the money. Just never forget. Like, when you become big, don't forget the little guys. And I was like, okay. He took off. I go into the radio station, and the woman, I hadn't shaved in like 5 days. And all of a sudden, the woman who was working, she goes, oh, we're going to do a break on the radio, and you're going to take over. I was like, okay. And she puts me on the guest mic, and she was like, hey, Kathy McCovey signing off. George Michael is here. I was like, okay. And, this is at the time the whole George Michael 5 o'clock shadow, gotta have faith thing is happening. And I'm like, no. And she goes, really, in all reality, who are you? I said, my name is Chris Payne. And she goes, hey, Chris, welcome to 96 Rock. Let's get you started. I said, okay. And push a couple buttons. Everything's going. She trained me for a maximum of 10 minutes. This is how you operate the board. This is what you do. My number's on the wall. If you need me, call. If not, good luck. And she left the building, locked the door. Now I'm terrified. I'm literally Macaulay Culkin, minus the running around, losing my mind, but mentally losing my mind. Terrified to turn on the microphone, adjust everything. 4.5 hours later, Sarge pulls up in front of the building because the studio at the time was all windows. So we see onto the street. You can see as you're walking the sidewalk, you can see into the radio station. All of a sudden, Sarge, like, he sees me and he's just walking. He's just giving me a look. I'm like, oh, God, the Sarge, he's going to kill me. He sees me. He's just, oh, man, I'm dead. And he walks in and he just, like, gives me this intense stare. So when you work for Carrie Edwards, anyway, I said, weekends, 6 to 10, Saturday and Sunday. And he just, like, still continued to stare at me. And I didn't know what to do. And all of a sudden he goes, tell Carrie Edwards you don't work for him anymore. Tell him you work for me. Puts his hand out. Welcome aboard. And I was like, oh my God, Sarge, you're not going to forget this. Blah, 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 like literally turned into all tongue and thumbs and everything. And he starts laughing. He goes, get back in the studio. You got about 20 seconds left in your song. Now I'm on a third wind. And I go running into the studio, go finish my top of the rock, and everything's great. And I go home and, didn't have a car. My skateboard was at home. And so I walked home from 4600 Kitsky Lane to Booth and Riverside. And it took about an hour and a half to walk home, and I didn't care. Because, again, third wind. I'm high as a kite, and I'm just replaying everything through the whole night in my head or whatever. And I'm walking by a newspaper machine. As I'm almost at my apartment, I'm like, sorry? And I back up. And all of a sudden, I look at the newspaper machine, reach in the old back pocket. Oh, good, I do have a quarter. Put the thing in there, open up the thing, pull out the paper. And I'm looking at the front page. I'm like, huh. Okay. Well, it's now about 7:45, 7:50, and I go into the apartment, and I pour myself a glass of water. Rental office opens at 8. It's July 31st, 1990. Rent is due. And I walk into the rental office. Manager looks at me. She goes, wow, you're up awfully early. It's 8:01. I go, yeah. And she goes, wow, what are you doing here so early? I go, just here to pay my rent. As I put the money on the counter, and she goes, oh. Seems to be only half. I go, yeah. She goes, where's the other half? As I reach in the back pocket and I pull out the newspaper, put it on the counter. I go, you're going to have to ask Mike. And she looks at the newspaper and she goes, oh my God, that explains all the sirens that I heard yesterday. Because my roommate at the time had gone up the street to what is now a convenience store at Booth and whatever Foster, had taken a bottle, put it in a paper bag when it was a U.S. bank and said, I would like to bomb this place. Give me money. So, and this is all true, 100% true. So he does that. They give him the money. He takes off wearing a chartreuse tank top and neon orange shorts, because, neon, 80s,
Yeah.
on a mountain bike and goes riding down the street. Cops from out of nowhere show up, chase him through the Chisholm Trailer Park, which is now over by Elm Estate. Got all that. They catch him. She was like, the rental manager was so cool. She goes, let's let you slide for this month, but next month I'm going to need the whole thing, which, by the way, was $425 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment.
I didn't need to hear that part.
Oh, have times changed.
Oh, God.
And that's where everything was, and that was the beginning of the radio career.
Wow.
You had your shot and you took it.
I did.
Sometimes you have to create your own opportunities.
And that's exactly what I did. And so I did that for a year and a week. Sorry, a year and a day, because I was fired on August 1st, 1990. Excuse me. Fired on August 1st, 1990. I know that for two reasons. August 2nd, 1990. Saddam Hussein had just invaded Kuwait, and the Black Crowes were playing at a club in town called Easy Street at the corner of 5th and Keystone, which is now, I think, a theater. But Easy Street is over by where Baskin Robbins and Port of Subs, Save Martin, all that, in that corner. And that's where the Black Crowes played their very first show in Reno. I think it was August 1st, 1990. Anyhow.
I failed to make the connection with you getting fired and Kuwait and Black Crowes.
So that's how I know the date. It was definitely August 1st. So the day that I was fired was the day that Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait and the Black Crowes had played Reno. And like those two events will always forever be in.
Just seared.
I thought there was a connection with these.
Yeah, no, thankfully, no.
But they burst in and like, Saddam Hussein invaded, you're out of here. How has radio evolved since then, and where is it now?
Wow. Radio has evolved, I think, for better and for worse. It has evolved for worse, if I could just go right to the jugular. There are companies who are, taking voices, implementing those voices into what is now becoming the detriment of our society. Artificial intelligence. And, basically the voices that we have now, some company will find a way to record those and ask AI to replicate intonation, whatever, and inflection, all that stuff. However, what they're not going to get is the personality, because there are, there are some radio companies and or radio stations who do have AI voices, which is terrifying, because when you hear them, you're like, they should be coming out of that Metallica song or, whatever song with with some sort of fervor or like excitement or whatever. And, whatever, KAZT, Metallica, Enter Sandman, came out in 1981, released in August, blah, 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 blah. And you hear that and immediately red flags go up everywhere. Like, this isn't even a person. Mm-hmm. And it's not, and so that then lends itself to the faction of people who, I don't listen to radio. It's like, okay, but it's still the one medium that is free. Yes, you can still stream platforms or whatever. That is also, I guess, free. But what sets radio apart from those platforms is the personality. And so when it's still good, it's good because there's that local connection of, there was a guy who, for instance, said to me while I was working in Aces game one time, he goes, yeah, blah, 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 I don't really listen to radio. I listen to satellite radio. In my mind, I'm like, sir, are you still listening to radio? And second, I go, cool. He was like, no offense. I go, none taken whatsoever. He goes, wow, that's pretty awesome. I said, yeah. I go, you're not going to run into which channel do you listen to? He goes, oh man, I listen to Boneyard and this channel and that channel. I'm like, cool. Have you ran into Jim Florentine at the grocery store? And he kind of laughed. I go, no, really, do you see Keith Roth at the grocery store or anything? He goes, I think I know where you're going with this. I go, yeah. I go, those people on satellite, I go, they're in different parts of the country. You and I, right now, we're no further than 2.5 feet apart from each other. And we're talking. And you know I'm on a radio station here in town. You choose not to listen, and that's cool. I'm not damning you for it, and I'm not going to shun you for it. In the same breath, you know, anybody who's overhearing our conversation right now, they're listening going, wow, there's a great point to be had. And that's exactly it. It's a local feel. You know, if there's a fire, the way there was the Davis fire, Satellite's not talking about it. Satellite's playing a song from Motley Crue or whatever.
Yeah. It was interesting. I accidentally left my phone at home. This was a couple months ago. I do most of my business on my phone, so I have it with me 24/7.
Yes.
But I was just like running an errand or something, and I accidentally left my phone. I had to drive here to the office, and it was super liberating because I always put on something to play through Bluetooth, and I didn't have that luxury. And I'm like, I'm gonna listen to the radio, and I have no control over what plays. I have to make 0 decisions, and it was really cool and super eye-opening.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Exactly. I wonder, I've never considered the AI impact on radio, but I almost wonder, so I've thought about this for live music too, as a whole, of like, with this new frontier of AI, and will these experiences with real people become more and more valuable? Like with live music, for example, I can see the same thing happening with radio, where like maybe more and more people will go towards radio because of that human touch and that local feel, like you're just talking about.
There's also a terrifying fact to add that there's music actually being created out there by AI, and there are some people who can't distinguish the difference between, you know, a Converge record and this AI hardcore band.
Yep.
That's like mortifying.
It is. I can go into the studio right there, and in 30 seconds I can make you a song that you would.
Right. So no.
Yeah.
I want to know, like, if you have a band, or if you have a band, like, hey, here's this band, they're from, I don't know, Huntington Beach or Roanoke, Virginia, or whatever, and I'm gonna look them up and do everything I can and find whatever I can, and if it's the real deal and the music applies, kick ass, let's go. When are they touring? I want to go see them, because that's also paramount.
So has there been a change in your like you have to research people now? You have to make sure that the bands are actually legit, or like.
Yeah, to a degree. You know, you still have to, like, you also have to research in order to, like, if you're going to talk about a band on the air, at least have something to offer information wise, other than the same thing over and over, which is in radio terms referred to as a crutch. Because if you're only ever leaning on Five Finger Death Punch, if you only ever say that Ivan Moody was in a band called Motograder, like, and keep circling around that whole Motograder wagon, it's like they only had one record in like 2003-4, and that was it. So how much, again, back to the blood from the turnip, how much can you squeeze out of that turnip? You just can't. You literally can't. Right. You know, if you have a Mother Love Bone situation where Andrew Wood overdosed in heroin, Say Hello to Heaven from Temple of the Dog was written about Andrew, and now you can go down the path of Green River and all the other whole, you know, down the tree of grunge music, of everything that is all that. Yes, that's fine. That's a whole, I mean, I might be veering or what I say, digressing, but you have like all these different veins of the tree, branches and whatnot. But again, if your dimension is only Ivan Moody, and you can only lean on whatever from Motograder versus, you know, Green River and Mudhoney and Tad and Soundgarden and all that stuff that you can talk about in the Pacific Northwest, you've got more information to work with there.
Well, first off, thank you for starting that email thread.
Oh yeah.
With manager
Dinosaur Pileup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hope that works out.
I hope it does too. Yeah. No, thank you very much for that. My question to you is, because you've interviewed a lot of artists through your radio days, and What would your advice be to Joel and I when we're trying to reach out to bands like that are coming from England and like Dinosaur Pile Up and that are coming through Reno, that we're trying to, we're also, as we're growing, get more viewers. We want to get artists in here that have bigger followings, and we also want to climb up the ladder. What's your advice to our approach of
reach out to the PR people and or the promoter, because that's going to be your direct connect to the band from there. And then it's just literally it's an email to an email to an email to an email. So it's you guys to the promoter and or PR person, who then reaches out to the manager. The manager then reaches out to the band. That if the band has time in the schedule, then they give you a window of this, and then they come back to you for that, and they're only available this time. And all of a sudden, like, great, Wednesday at 3:00 from 3 to 3:15 or 3 to 3:10. Great, Lynn, let's map out a few questions, iron it out, and knock it out. And if you have a 7-minute interview, okay. If you get a 6, great. If they want to talk a little longer, you leave it on them. Ask a question. Don't ask the regular, like, what made you name the band Theory of a Dead Man? Right. Or, something like that. Just come around. Like, if you're tapped into a band's sound, say for instance, there's a band out of San Diego, Pin, help me, Brian, Pin Pun,
newer,
older, like 20 years ago, Deftones inspired, God dang it, why am I drawing a blank on the name? Anyway, so, but they're like, there's a band out of Canada, out of Montreal, a long time ago, about almost 25 years ago. They were called MK Ultra. Kind of weird why you would be called MK Ultra, but maybe tap into, if you're a fan of their music or know why they're inspired to be called MK Ultra. Okay, does it tie into somehow at the same time? There's a band called Linkin Park. How are those two tied in together in some way, shape, or form? Like, what's going on? Because, like, maybe there's a thing which actually is true that apparently Bourdain, Chester Bennington, and somebody else were all looking into, like, this weird ring of what's happening with, I think, kids or something or whatever, or suicide or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, within a few days or weeks of each other, like, boom, 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 like, they all are, like, being picked off. Is this, like, now, is this becoming conspiracy theory, or is this actual somebody slipped them a Mickey? What's happening? Like, do they not want to be here? Whatever. Like, so many, like, the depth of whoever you want to speak with. Come at them with something that's going to be not the usual question. Mm-hmm. I know, that's a super long answer to a...
Just to build off of that briefly, what is, for the promoter, for the PR person, for the agent, whoever that we're able to contact, what do you think are some of the things that are most important to them that, in a sentence or two, we can convey that,
get their attention.
Yeah. So just
like credibility.
Help them understand what we're doing here, so that we're not just another email.
Know that, like, say for instance, I did a Zoom today with Tyler Connolly, the singer for Theory of a Dead Man, and I flat out said, look, out of the gate, here's the story that I was told about you guys and Chad Kroeger from Nickelback and Dallas from Default, and is there any truth to this story? And he was like, yeah, actually it is. It's pretty true. Like, not 100%, but yes, tied in. I was like, great. And then I'd move forward a little bit from there, and I said, my favorite song that you guys have is a song called Hello Lonely. Do you guys ever play that a whole lot? And he was like, wow, actually there was a time when we were playing a show and management came back. They're like, there's people from the record label here, and could you play the song? And we're like, well, we haven't even rehearsed it. In my mind, I'm like, how have you not rehearsed something that you've recorded? Like, wow, this is something new to me. And then he was telling me this story about how his guitar wasn't working and the rhythm player only knew a certain part. And so Tyler took his guitar and he smashed it on stage, and the show was over and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And management later went back and was like, sorry about that. And then that led, and now fast forward 10 years later, I said, the last time that I saw you guys play, even though you've been here a couple of times, maybe 3 times in the area total, since this one performance in particular, I go, but was the pepper spray incident at Knitting Factory? And he was like, oh man. And I said, it was the one. I said, you were singing. I was like, you stopped and you walked off stage, and then the band was like, what's happening? And then they walk off stage, and I'm with a bunch of people. I was like, well, pepper spray's in the room, and I don't know how it got here, but that's the end of the show. And I sure hope Theory of a Dead Man comes back to Reno. And I kind of I'm setting the table with this story. So stuff like that, like knowing some information, like if Deftones, if you happen to get, any of the guys from Deftones on the podcast, on the broadcast, vlogcast, whatever you call it, around Reno Live, and you're able to have a conversation with them, maybe something you could bring up is, hey, October 10th, 2000, you guys were playing a show at the Livestock Event Center, and Chino happened to jump up off of Abe's drum kit, and as it came down, cut his hand open, and that had to be the end of the set. What was going through your head? Like, can I make it through the show? Can I get through the rest of the set? Like, what's going on? Or, the next time you came back to town, you played was 10 years later, but you haven't been back here, since. I know you're a worldwide band because you're Deftones worldwide, or you only play festivals and stadiums or whatever. But how can we get you back here? Do you want to play small rooms again? And if you do, are you selecting the cities? And if so, can we be one? It's just something along those lines.
Yeah.
I feel like I know what'll happen now. When we get some good art, some larger artists in here with followings that have played in Reno before that we haven't seen, we're gonna be calling you and be like, hey, were you at the
I'll give it all to you.
Reno Event Center at this show? What happened?
Case in point, if you get Pete Wentz on the phone and you get to have a chance to chat with Fall Out Boy for a second and just say, Pete, you said December 2014 at the Grand Sierra that you guys would come back to town. You played a 7-song acoustic set for KRZQ at the time. You said, and I quote, Reno, we will be back. Well, it's now however many years later and you haven't come back. Why? Things.
See, that's perfect.
I've got as the kids would say, I have the tea.
Love it. Thank you for spilling it a little bit for us.
Absolutely.
And we would absolutely love to have you back sometime.
Let me know.
Keep hashing out these.
Yeah.
These
Whenever you
stories.
guys have time and whatever stories you want to know, I'm always happy to share.
Awesome. Real quick, if there's anything you feel like promoting, whether it's personal or something that, an event or where to find you, if you want to just tell the camera where folks can, who you are and where folks can find you, just take a little time to do so.
Just real quick, my name is Chris Payne. I'm the MC for the Reno Aces, Nevada Athletics, and the Reno Ice Raiders. I appreciate any and every person who comes out to any and every game and anybody who listens to the radio. But more important, if there is a local cause in the community, wherever you're seeing this or wherever you're hearing this, that you are passionate about, get involved with that cause right there. If it's a nonprofit, awesome. If it's suicide prevention, whatever it is, just get involved. Because the more of an impact and the more of a footprint that you have in your community, as I've learned over time, the more you give to the community, the more it comes back to you tenfold. And it's just a cycle that is never ending. So don't ever let your passion keep you from what it is that you want to achieve.
See Payne in the house.
I'm just gonna. We don't need to rock on Reno for that. That was perfect.
That was perfect. Also, shout out Bristlecone, Matt and Martin and Danny.
This is delicious.
And Danielle told me.
Is Danny the guy who looks like the circus strongman with the awesome mustache?
No, it's Danielle.
Okay, but who's the dude that?
That's
That's not Matt or Martin, clearly.
No.
But he does. He looks like a circus strongman from the 20s.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That has the weights on the
Yes.
finger, and he's like balancing something else over here while riding that giant unicycle.
His name might be Mark.
He's awesome. He's from Chicago. That's all I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have a Chicago story for you after this. Go ahead.
But